Hey folks, welcome back to BizTalk. In case you are just now tuning in, my name is Rick Gutierrez. I am your host and your business advocate, and I absolutely love doing this show and being the host of this show because I get to learn from subject matter experts, and so will you. So we have an amazing lineup of guests that are going to be here with us today. These are business professionals, business owners, business that have been in business for a very long time, and they've been there, they've done that, so we want to learn all from them so that we don't make the same mistakes. So with that said, I want to welcome back to the show Abigale Stolfe. Welcome back to the show, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's always a fun time having you. I think, last conversations that we've had, we've learned quite a bit from you in terms of, family law and different types of cases and what you guys handle and what you guys, what's your bread and butter and how great you guys are and the great jobs that you're doing for many families. So we thank you for all your work that you're doing. But this topic here for this show, Abigale, it's, I think, something that most people don't want to talk about, but it must be talked about because somebody's got to do it, and that's going to be you, right? So it's all about child custody advocacy, and people want to know, moving through that child custody, what principles guide your advocacy for children in these sensitive cases?
Right. So custody, again, custody is the hard one, right? That's the emotional one. And
Yeah.
what I try to explain to all my clients is that my job as an advocate for them is my job as an advocate for them. Meaning I'm not advocating per se for the children, but instead I'm advocating for my client and the family dynamic. And I can do that. I can do that for them having time with their children. I can do that for them having custody of their children, so long as the statutory factors can be satisfied to show me, the court, my adversary, that whatever I'm advocating for is actually in the child's best interest. And sometimes the line between advocating for a client and advocating for a child on behalf of a client can seem blurred a lot of the time. In fact, I just concluded a case, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, where the lines between the advocacy for the client and the advocacy on behalf of the child often could not even be found. It was so entwined and entangled. But at the end of the day, what I did and what I do is I stick to the statutory factors that guide custody. They guide any case involving custody. And even when those lines between advocating for a client versus advocating for a child are not as clear, the statutory factors have a way of setting out the correct outcome.
Setting out the correct outcome. That's, what we all strive for, right? But you've got your hands full with those type of cases, and I can only imagine the conversations that you have to have. And my heart goes out to the families that have to go through that, and obviously you that have to help those families. But you do an amazing job. And one of the reasons why I say that is because I think you can basically shine some light, and you don't need to go into any details. I know that you can't, but maybe discuss a little bit of a particular impactful child custody case that you've been involved with.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I can't, and thank you for acknowledging that I actually can't talk about
Right.
specific cases.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you the case I was just referring to a moment ago. That had been a custody case that had been going on for over a decade. When we finally settled it a week ago, or a couple weeks ago, I'm sorry. Um, it's overwhelmingly emotional for the clients. It's overwhelmingly emotional as an advocate to finally see that decade-long battle conclude. And to see it conclude with a recognition that the child is where the child should properly be in order to have their needs best suited. And I think that again, you try not to get too involved and you try to keep a distance, but there are those times when, especially when you're with a family for a decade, you
Mm-hmm.
can't not become invested in making sure that these children have what they need and from whom they need it. And that does not mean that a child is taken away from the other parent. It's just a recognition that each parent provides a role, and it's not a gender role. It's their personality and how that uh, works with the child and how that makes the child flourish and grow. And I think that, it's always nice to see.
Yeah, it's the best possible outcome is what we always strive for, right? Particularly for the children involved, and that's something that I've always thought that it was something very particular for that particular role, that particular uh, to be in that position that you are in, and so. I don't know. It's just, one of the things that I've always said is that everyone in the middle, like you and I, age-wise, we can defend ourselves, but it's children and the elderly that always need, someone to be there to help them and protect them. And so that's the reason why I'm passionate about always being of service to children and the elderly to ensure that they're not being abused and make sure that they have the best outcome possible. So with that said, what are some of the strategies that you use to navigate the emotional landscape of, custody in some of these cases?
Well, as in any high conflict cases, child custody cases carry a tremendous amount of emotion when we've talked about that. I do not hesitate from shying away from those emotional conversations with my clients and encouraging ongoing continued therapy, family therapy, children therapy, whatever may be needed. Um, and as the case develops, there may be different therapeutic needs. The emotion that gets into and seeps through a child custody case is very often palatable. You have two people who genuinely love the people or person who is at at issue or in dispute. Um, Sometimes that requires my silence because when we're in a room, my client may need to navigate their own emotion in that moment. It may require um, my input. I may need to give some advice in order to help them through that emotion. Or it may require moments of levity. You want to help the client to quickly transition so that the case can continue forward. So we need, in these emotional landscapes, we really need clients to be with us, walking their journey, but also recognizing the battle that their own emotion is doing to them internally. Custody is not easy. There's no cookie cutter formula. It's very much its own beast, and there's no expected emotional response. We know everyone's going to have an emotional response, but we can't always predict what it's going to be. So I say that working a high conflict custody case is often akin to being a stand-up comedian because you have to read the room and you have to pivot appropriately.
Right.
And that's really my job.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I was going to mention. I mean, you have to be able to step out at a certain point, right, and to be able to adjust your alignment as far as where you need to redirect what's important to be able to be a better service to your clients, right? So I think that's an enormous amount of professionalism and again kudos to you for being that level of professional. But I think one of those things that our clients basically want to see and want to showcase your expertise here a little bit in this continuing conversation about family law. When therapy is needed, what is the best approach? How do you navigate that conversation?
I hit it head on. I hit it head on.
You rip the
I
Band-Aid off.
don't sugarcoat it. I think that if you see someone has a problem, or is having an emotional response at any point in your relationship with them, we're talking professionally, but the truth is that it's personal as well, right? Uh, you have to be very few words, blunt, direct. So if I feel like my client could use therapy, or if I feel like, I hear what you're saying, how you interact with your child, but there might be a better way to handle this. Let's go to a family counselor and figure that out because we all do the best we can as parents, but listen, there's no book, right? We're all just kind of
Mm-hmm.
winging it and winging a prayer. So sometimes we need to have that conversation and say, I know you're a great parent and I know you're well intentioned, but for whatever reason, your child isn't responding to that. So let's talk about how we get there. My philosophy is the fewer the words, the more effective the conversation.
That's, the reason why I asked that is because, there's got to be so many different ways you can handle that conversation, right? I mean, it just depends on the individual and the timing and how you can perceive that that individual is going to take, the suggestions, right? So let's talk a little bit about Jersey Coast family law. How long have you guys been in business? I know you mentioned in a previous episode that you have been practicing over 20 years, but let's talk about your firm.
So my firm is actually pretty much a baby. Jersey Coast Family Law was born on January 1, 2024, following the dissolution of a prior partnership that I was in for 10 years, which was formed after a reconfiguring of a prior partnership. So I've been doing this for, like I said, quite some time at this point. Jersey Coast Family Law, however, is brand new, but I'm the drive behind the force. So with Jersey Coast Family Law comes my years of experience and the many years of experience of my team, all of whom have been with me for years.
That's fantastic. So congratulations on the new venture, on the new company. That is amazing. Sometimes when we step out on our own like that, it just sometimes it has its challenges of its own. Plus you still need to be of service to your clients, so can never deviate from that. So kudos on the new company. So we have come to the close of this segment. I want to thank you for being on the show. I think this conversation was amazing and it showcases your expertise and the reason why our viewers need to contact Jersey Coast Family Law in case they are needed. They are there for you. So tell us once again, Abigail, how do we get a hold of you?
Yes, thank you. You can go to our website at jerseycoastfamilylaw.com. I suggest you read it, learn about our philosophies, learn about our practice areas, learn about how we can help and service you, and then give us a call at 732-361-4718 to schedule an appointment.
Awesome. Abigail, thank you again so much for being on the show. I look forward to more amazing conversations that you and I are going to have on this show. So I appreciate you, and I'll see you again soon.
Great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, folks, we have come to the end of this segment. We definitely do appreciate you sticking in there. Stay right there. We're going to be right back with another subject matter expert.